All right, I'd like to call the Board of Adjustments meeting on January 26, 2010. We have a new member, Mr. Stephen McGowan, need to swear in.
I, Stephen McGowan,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution and laws of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution and the laws of the United States,
and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform
and I will faithfully and impartially
discharge
and inform
all the duties incumbent upon me
all the duties incumbent upon me
as Commissioner
as Commissioner
for the Board of Adjustment,
for the Board of Adjustments,
according to the best of my ability
according to the best of my ability
and understanding,
and understanding.
so help me God.
So help me God.
All right, we'll do roll call of members. Chairman Brad Walker, present. Vice Chairman James Cecil.
Present.
Ms. Kathy Desidere.
Present.
Mr. Bill Lee.
Present.
Mr. Tyler Glue.
Present.
Mr. Milton Cluott Jr.
Present.
Mr. Stephen McGowan.
Present.
All right. It's that time of year that we have to do elections for the 2010 chairman. I'd like to open it up for nominations for the chairman of 2010.
I'd like to go ahead and nominate Brad Walker. I think you're the best man for the job.
I'll second.
Any other nominations?
I move we close
No.
nominations.
Yes, close.
Nominations closed by Ms. Kathy Desidere.
Second.
Second by Mr. Milton Cluott. Since there is nobody else running against me, I guess I'm chairman again for 2010.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Now we need an election of 2010 vice chairman. I'd like to open nominations for 2010 vice chairman.
I'd like to nominate James Cecil.
I'll second. Second.
All right. Any other nominations?
Move the nomination be closed. I'll
Closed
second.
by Mr. Milton Cluott.
I'll
Second by
second.
Mr. Bill Lee. Since nobody ran against him, Ms. James Cecil is vice chairman again for 2010. Congratulations. All right. At this time, I'd like to open up public comment period. This is for anything about the board. This is not the public comment period about the agenda items. We will have a public comment period for each agenda items. If you'd like to say something good, bad, anything about the board or anything like that, please come up. Since nobody's running to the podium, we're going to go ahead and close public hearing. Do I hear a motion to accept the minutes of December 22nd, 2009 meeting?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Tyler Glue.
Second.
Second by Mr. Milton Cluott. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Motion for the acceptance of written decisions for December 22nd, 2009.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Mr. Bill Lee. Second by Mr. Tyler Glue. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. All right. Now time for zoning review ID 2054.09, Lot 7 of mobile home for Joanne Shaw, located west side of Brown 3 Road, approximately 650 feet south of Brown Road. Is there anybody here to represent that variance? Please sign in right here on the corner. And just state us what you're trying to do and what your hardship is.
I moved in my house, had a house built a couple of years ago, and got permission from the permit office to leave my trailer in the back so that my daughter and son-in-law and their children could live there. And I wasn't told at the time that I needed to get a variance, so I'm here today to do that.
And you, Miss Joanne Shaw?
Yes, I am.
Any questions by board members?
Well, I have a question. Lance, you gave the permission? Okay. And you said someone in the permit office gave you
Yes,
permission?
it was a lady.
Okay, and was it to be on a temporary basis that they gave you the permission or
no.
permanent?
No, a permanent basis.
And it was a permit done in writing to leave it there?
It wasn't a permit at the time. It was just, she gave me permission.
Okay, so they didn't
Said-
give you anything in writing, they just gave you a verbal permission to
They
leave the
did
mobile home
that
there?
and gave me a new address for the house that was
Okay.
going to be built.
Is there currently anybody living in that trailer at this time?
Yes, my daughter, my son-in-law, and their children.
Okay, I'm going to follow up on Ms. Desider's train of thought there. Did you receive a permit to occupy this trailer?
A permit to occupy?
That would be from the building department.
Did anybody, do you know anything about it?
The trailer's been there 20 years.
20 years?
Yes. I've been in it for that long until I built my house.
When was the house built?
2 years ago, and 3 months is when I moved in it. It was built, it was 2007, and I moved in at the end of the year.
So that's current, yeah.
So you would have to get the variance for the house, not necessarily the trailer. If the trailer was there before zoning.
It would be either one, basically. What it is it's a density issue, meaning how many units you can have on the lot. It doesn't really matter if it's a family member or not. It's just a density of how many dwelling units you can have based on the amount of property that she owns. So that's what's in front of you. It doesn't really matter which one. It's just that there's two on the property, and with the amount of property that's there, only one should be allowed.
Okay, and then I have another question, because this request says wants to add 2 bedrooms to the back of the trailer. I'm looking at the diagram. How far is the back of the trailer from the property line? And it looks like there's a shed already there, so, towards the side property line?
Yeah, I measured it off, and there'll be at least 5 feet from the property line after the rooms are added on.
And that's the
Okay.
side.
And is that with an overhang or not with an overhang? You don't know?
about the overhang.
Okay.
Have they checked for the building setback lines on the property?
I don't know what you're talking about. Sorry.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question for Lance. Lance, I noticed in your report you made a recommendation to accept this variance. What did you base your recommendations on?
I based it on that the existing structure has been out there for over 2 years, or 3 years at this time, and it was brought forth basically because she did request to add on, and once that kicked in, or once that she applied for the permit to kick on, we realized that the mobile home was there. And I think Laverne can probably, I don't want to put him on the spot, but I think he can tell you a little bit more about the certificate of occupancy with the home itself.
Well, you always put him on the spot. So
I know. He does well,
It won't
though.
make any difference tonight.
He does a good job.
Would you comment on it, Laverne?
Sure, I don't mind. Just to bring the facts to life, the home that was built, according to our inspection records, was never given request for a building final and a certificate of occupancy. The contractor that was responsible for this never did come and ask for that request for the final inspections. Apparently, when power was applied to the home, the owners moved in. The only thing Lance mentioned earlier, when the second permit was issued for the addition of the 2 bedrooms, then it became apparent once we was notified that some material was brought out there and was questioned what was happened to be built. That's when it was brought to our attention, and I look back at the records of the original permit for the house, that it never was totally completed on the inspection process. The contractor failed to make the request. That's how it was brought to life, and it come to the owner coming in and requesting a variance to keep the mobile home there, and possibly with the addition of the 2 bedrooms.
Laverne, who was the contractor on that?
Jim Walter.
The man has already done the elevation, and I'm waiting on him to finish the paperwork. He called me and told me that it's actually 7 inches above what it needs to be. and that I'm okay with it, and he's just waiting to bring it to me and let me pay him, and then I have to present that to the permit office for a certificate of occupancy.
Laverne,
Yes, sir.
is there anything other than what she's saying that you need to do for the building permit to be sufficient to where they can occupy
Other-
legally?
That's correct, what you just said. It's
Okay.
in a flood zone and needs a final elevation certificate. And once that's established and seeing that it's at the proper elevation, we would have the request apparently come to us to do the building final and the CO. CO meaning certificate of occupancy.
Right. Now, Lance, as far as the setback line on the sides, there is no setback lines on that side of that piece of property?
No, so there would be a 5-foot setback for the
Just
side.
the
Basically,
5
what we're
foot.
trying to do is correct something that should have been done before the
Not
house
before.
was built.
That's what.
So it has nothing to do with the addition she's trying to do.
No, it has nothing to do with the addition at all.
Okay.
This
The
has to
addition
do with
keeps
that.
coming
This,
back
yeah,
up.
the addition keeps coming back. That was pretty much what sparked this for her to come to this point, I guess you could say. Once that she applied for permits to add on to the building, we realized that there was 2 structures still on the property that should not be there.
So what we're going to do is correct the paperwork.
Possibly, yes, sir. Yes.
Now, one thing that we've done in the past is put limitations on what can be in the trailer
Yeah,
in
stipulate.
the back, as far as you cannot have a rental property on this. If nobody's living in it, it has to be removed off the property. So it cannot be sold as a separate property or an actual rented unit. Would you be okay if that stipulation was on this variance?
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the variance as requested, providing that it meets all of the
Hold on,
building
I got to
requirements.
open public hearing first.
Yeah, we got
Had all that?
public hearing first.
Oh, okay. Let's listen.
If you can give us a few minutes, I'd like to open public hearing for anybody that's going to say for or against this. Just give us a few seconds if you want to sit right there. I'll give you a chance to rebuttal afterwards.
Well, I move we open public hearing.
I second.
Doing something new this time. I'm opening and closing. Laura says I can do that without having to go through all that.
There
Save
you
us
go.
some time.
Mr.
okay.
Chairman, you're doing it right now.
Doing efficient.
You better believe it.
If anybody would like to speak, just sign right here on the floor.
He might be able to do our whole job.
There you go.
No. I cleared that with legal or
As long as he clears it with legal.
Yeah.
How y'all doing? My name is Betsy Plaisance, and I'm a neighbor. I know Miss Joanne vaguely. This is nothing personal, but we have these lots, and they're supposedly be for one-dwelling homes. Right now, I'm basically here for my neighbor, Miss Sarah, who's not feeling well, and she lives next door, and some of this water that they were talking about for flooding and such does drain on her property. There is the trailer. I've never gotten out to measure it, but it does appear to be very close to the property line now. And it also appears if there was an addition to be added on to, that it would be very, it looks like more than 5 foot. But we never fought it before or said anything before because we knew that, the children needed a place to stay, which was fine, but we were always under the impression that was told to us by people, and, people talk, that the trailer was supposed to have been moved when the house was built. And if we let this happen, then it takes our property. I'm not saying it's the greatest in the world, but it takes our property value, and it ruins our property value. Then we have other people coming in wanting to do the same thing, and instead of 100 lot by 190, we're going to have 100 by 100, and this is not what we moved out here for. And I wish I would really consider it. Thank you.
Thank you. Do I have anybody else in the audience that'd like to speak for or against this variance? Okay, I'm closing public hearing. Ms. Shaw, would you like to rebuttal against that, please?
Yes, directly across the street from Beatsy's, there's another 2 families, 2 homes that are on a lot. They ask for a variance like I'm doing today, and because their lots are not separated or as large. And as far as the water situation, every time it rains over the past 20 years, Sarah accuses me of her yard being wet. Says that I have a leak. I do not have a leak.
Okay. Thank you. Any more questions, comments from the board? Not at this time. We only allow one public speaking. I've already closed public hearing.
Does they have any restrictions that way they can only have one subdivision based on one?
What?
What they can have?
Well, it's a density issue, that those were supposed to be one.
Right now, there's
Family
only supposed to be
lot.
one on that lot, and that's what we're giving the
And-
variance to allow the second one.
The problem is that it was probably supposed to have been removed, because that's normally how they do it, is they remove it before the permanent electricity, but we have a problem that's existed for 2 years, and
I have a question for Laverne. Laverne, how did they get power on that building without getting the final?
We, if the contractor purchased a temporary cut-in, we would allow temporary permanent power to be applied to the building. And most of the time, what that does is let the contractors check all their electrical service out, turn their air conditioning system on, check that out. It's kind of like a jump start to get to the building final and the initial certificate of occupancy, where they can go in and critique any problematic areas that need attention before the final building final or the CO is issued. That's basically how we do it, and it saves a lot of time for both the contractors and the building department, because if we wait till the building final is issued, allowing power to be placed on the building, we got to go back for another inspection for the certificate of occupancy. So it actually saves us one trip as well. So we really encourage the temporary cut-in situation, which most contractors do.
We never had temporary.
TCI, the contractor, bought it. The electrical
We
contractor.
never set up a temporary. They just ran it off my trailer while they did.
No. To clear that up, she's thinking of a temporary meter for construction purposes. This is a TCI, temporary cut-in of permanent power.
Does Energy have a time frame that they would come and cut it off, or is it temporary until the parish tells them to cut it off?
No, it's permanent power applied to the building as a temporary basis in order to, acclimate the other features of the home to meet the next inspection, which most of the time, electrical on the certificate of occupancy is when we go in and check for GFIs, arc faults, make sure all electrical devices are working properly, air conditioning system. It lets the contractor critique all these things before we do a final inspection for building, which was like a catch-all. What the lady's talking about, a temporary cut-in, just for a temporary meter would be what she's applying for construction. What we're talking about is permanent power. The downfall on this project, in my opinion, is the fact that the contractor did not call us back in for the final inspection of the building and a certificate of occupancy.
Is there something in place now that is checked? I mean, or can you just get temporary power and not get a CO?
Well,
And
that
how do we find
happens. That happens to some degree, but for most often, banks and all will require a certificate of occupancy. So we got some type of constraints on that. Other than us going back and police up permitting, it was almost, when we're doing 500-600 a year. We really rely on the contractor or the homeowners to make sure that all the inspections are, requested. We don't go out and generally.
Was there any parish notes on the project or anything as far as when the house was built about the trailer being on there when y'all first initiated the building permit on it?
No.
but probably the only time we're running into this situation is when there's currently a mobile home in place, correct?
more than likely, and we allow like 30 days for them to, make the transition, to move out, move in, get the disconnect of the second dwelling that was there previous, and then get it relocated off the properties.
Well, I'm going to say we're in a catch-22 on this since it was left out there, but I would approve this, but with stipulations that I want to make sure that you understand that if your daughter moves out and the mobile home is vacant, then there's no longer a need in place. So the mobile home and any addition would have to be removed. All overhangs would have to be within the side yard, so you need to be very careful about that. Because if you build over that side yard, the neighbors can make you take it down. So there's a lot of financial perils there to putting on the addition if the daughter's going to move out at any time. Neither the house nor the mobile home can ever be a rental property.
I'd like to say like that, if you did add that on, the aesthetics of it would look where it would look good and not enhance not damage the look of the property in the neighborhood. No, just don't put a lean tube and leave it as such. Fix something real nice.
I have professionals that will do it.
I just made the motion.
That was a motion?
I'm going to go
That
ahead
was
and
my
second
motion.
it. I'm going to go ahead and second the motion that it doesn't become a rental property and go ahead and approve this.
All right, I got a motion to approve the variance with the stipulations of it cannot be a rental property and the trailer has to be removed if it's not the daughter living in it, and also has to be aesthetically pleasing to the same look of the trailer. And a second by Mr. Jim. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. All right. Next, zoning review ID 2055.09, lot 268 of Pelican Point Golf Community, fourth filing for Darrell Laverne, located on south side of Swan Circle, approximately 300 feet west of Tezuko Court, to request a variance. Is anybody here to represent this variance? Yes, ma'am.
I'm Marilyn Bowman, and I'm a realtor with Remax First of Baton Rouge. And in this situation, I actually am working with the buyer, Mr. Dean Laverne, and the seller, Mr. James Medica, to facilitate the sale of the house on Swan Circle. What I'd ask the board right now is just to give me a minute or so to give you an explanation of how we got to where we are today. Can you hear me? I feel like I'm not really talking into... Dean Laverne is a state trooper, and he has been for 11 years. During the past year, he received a position as a helicopter pilot with the state troopers. During that year of the new position, he has staying with friends, family, and troopers in the area. He is now mandated to reside here in the Baton Rouge area in order to secure his position as the helicopter pilot with the state troopers. In order to make that move, he has sold his home in Morgan City. His wife and his son are currently living with relatives until we could hold this meeting tonight to ask for this variance and then hopefully be able to move forward with purchasing the house at Swan Circle. The seller, who is here tonight also, Mr. Jim Medica, would just like for the board to know that the reason why they're selling their home is that they are now in a situation where they have decided to downsize. They plan to build another home in Pelican Point on one of the garden patio lots, which would be a zero lot line house. So they are going to be staying in the area. When I started working with the Lavernes approximately 6 months ago, we searched the entire Ascension Parish area to find a home that they felt was right for their family. We finally found the home at Swan Circle, and it had everything that they desired except a pool and a pool house. So we moved forward with putting a plan together to build a pool house the desirable size that they thought would meet their needs. And therefore, when we did that, we realized that we were going into the building line and therefore would require that we come to this board to ask for a variance. Initially, we asked, and I think you have a diagram there, initially we asked for a 4-foot 6-inch variance on the left side of the property, and that's if you're facing the house to the left side, down to a 2-foot 3-inch variance on the right-hand side of the property. And the reason why we had to ask, the reason why it shows up that way on your diagram is because this lot is actually situated on a lake. There's a curvature to the lot, and so the building line follows that curvature. We've sent our paperwork into the parish, and we were informed that the parish staff would not recommend the variance to the board, and we were asked if we could possibly reduce the variance. As a result of those discussions, you have a new drawing that reduces the 4-foot 6-inch variance on one side to a 2-foot 3-inch variance, down to, on the right-hand side, down to a 6-inch variance that's only an overhang. Now, I'm a very visual person, and so I had to more or less understand what I'm asking for, so I have a visual for you. Initially, what we were asking for was a 4-foot 6-inch variance on the left side of the building, down to a 2-foot 3-inch variance on the right side of the building. We've now said, okay, we can manage with the pool house a little bit smaller, so would the parish please grant us a 2-foot 3-inch variance on the left side of the building, down to a 6-inch overhang variance on the right-hand side. And so that's where we are tonight, asking you for this variance to allow them to build the pool house. And at this time, I think Dean would like to also make a few comments. Thank you for your time. Dean?
Good evening. I'm Dean Laverne, the buyer of the house. The reason that we're building this pool house, the house itself is a 4-bedroom home. My wife is a part owner of a boat company in a shipyard in Amelia, Louisiana. With this new position, being promoted in this position, I do have to live in the area. It did take us a while to find this house. In the house itself, I'm going to have my own room set up as an office because I have no office back at our headquarters. None of the pilots do. We just have kind of a little computer room. And with my wife giving up her duties at the company where she's at now, she's going to situate herself in one of the other rooms. And we have a 10-year-old child. Just to let you know why we want this pool house and why we're building it. My wife's family, her brother, wife, and kids live in Alabama. Mine live in Texas and Lake Charles. When they come in, I want them to have an area that they're going to be comfortable, that they're going to have plenty of room, that they can have their privacy, and we can have our privacy in the house. I'm also friends with quite a few New York troopers that I worked with in New Orleans after Katrina. And about 3 of them come in with their wife and kids about 2 or 3 times a year because they love South Louisiana. Like to have it set up where I've got enough room where they've got their own privacy and they can enjoy themselves down here. One of the other reasons we wanted to do this was not just for family and friends to stay there, but 2 years ago during Hurricane Gustav, a couple of our pilots had to be relocated down here, and they pretty much stayed with other members of the unit during the crisis. I'm going to offer that to them when they come down. If there's another situation where we're activated and we're flying out of Baton Rouge for some kind of a crisis, I'm going to have a place where I can keep 1 or 2 guys there until it's over with and they can get back to their homes back in Alexandria or in Ruston, Louisiana. And that's pretty much it. I think I told someone the other day, I'm trying to visualize myself 12 months down the road here with my family, living in that community, living in that house, and having the pool house and the swimming pool and being able to enjoy it.
A couple of questions.
Yes, sir.
The photo that y'all submitted with the flags in the yard.
Yes,
is
sir.
that the 4 foot 6?
Yes, that is the 4 foot 6 inch, correct.
Okay. How far this back stake by this tree right here? How far out is this from the neighbor's house? That's usually our biggest concern at Pelham Point is the view from the side. Whenever you have a view of a golf course of a lake, you like to look left and right, and if there's something blocking one versus the other from the original, that's usually comes where the problem comes in.
It's my understanding that the house that's to the left, that you're looking at, the side of that house, actually juts out further than our foot 6 inch variance would jut out. So with the 2 foot 3, you're actually 2 feet further in.
Okay. So coming in, you'd be in further than the back of this house right here. So
That's
you really,
correct.
looking
Yeah.
at the backyard of this house, if I was here, okay, I would not see the side of your house.
Or the pool house.
The pool house.
Pool house.
That's correct.
Okay.
Now, I'm not saying you wouldn't see it. You know, you could walk around the side
no, it
and
wouldn't
see
block
it.
my
But
view of the lake
you're
that's in the back.
No.
if you're on your back porch, I do not think that you would see it. Correct.
It's like a statement, not more of a question. What bothers me in these particular cases, one, a pool house is not a necessary item, okay? Two, we're talking, like you said, you're a visual person. I can show you what 2 foot 3 does and what 6 inches does. But why can't you build within the spec? Do you have to have a certain size building is what I'm asking? I mean, maybe you can better answer that.
When we originally drew the plans up, my wife wanted to have so much room in the living area with the bedroom, and we shortened it 2.5 feet to try to meet that. I guess the only answer I have for you, sir, is we'd like to have as much space as we can in the
For visitors.
Yes, sir.
I understand. It's just, sometimes I get a little confused when, we're talking on the visual line here that you just can't shrink this thing a little bit and be within spec, and you wouldn't even have to be in front of this board.
And you know what, Mr. Cecil, having worked with the Lavernes and worked with the architect that we've worked with so far, it's very possible that we could reconfigure the shape of the building, which would accommodate everyone. But at this point, we would like to ask for the variance and would have the variance in the event that it's needed.
And I understand that, and if I had a pool house to build, my wife would be the supervisor of that house, and I'd understand that we have to have maximum, room.
Yes.
And not only that, if it's an LSU room or a Saints room, it's got to be maximum because we got to get bigger TV sets.
We're thinking alike.
But I still, again, I'm a little tough on that, 6 inches. That's where I have a problem with. Sorry, Mr. Chairman.
It's my backyard. I want to do what I
Yeah, exactly.
I have a question. The 2 foot 3 inch variance that you need, that includes your overhangs, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, all right.
Well, I can certainly appreciate the fact that you would taken the option to reduce the variance from 4.6 to 2.3. On the other side of the lake, what kind of homesteads are on the other side of the lake? Does that lake border one of the golf hole?
It's a golf fairway.
Golf fairway.
Yes.
Well, the original pool house was 20 by 40, so the reconfigured that was 800 square feet. So is the new reconfigured pool house now 750 square feet, or did you just move it?
It would be
Still 800?
No, it would be a little bit less than 800. Moving it about 40, and the line. It's kind of hard to me to determine without a calculator because the line is kind of slanted there.
Yeah, that's
But yeah, it would reduce about 40 feet. It would remove half of it from the original request.
40 square feet or so.
40 foot.
The initial request, I think, was about 80 square feet with the 4 foot 6 inch variance.
Okay.
If we remove that back to the 2 foot 3, I think it's going to be about probably less than 40, but probably at least 30.
30.
I have a question that I don't know if we hadn't even thought about on the size of it, but the roof that's going to be built over this addition. What's the design of the roof? Is it going to be a hip roof, a gable end facing the lake?
That's going to be for the guy that I get to design this. Obviously, the ACC, the homeowners association, I'm going to have to tie this roof in to where they're going to be able to approve this. I'm going to get an architectural designer to draw this up and design it for me, because I want to make sure it's going to have the homeowner association is not going to let me build it unless it matches the house and it ties into the house aesthetically.
Yeah, the reason I was asking is, in keeping with the rest of the, you see this house has a hip roof facing the lake, and they've also got an upstairs window. So if you do have a hip roof on that addition, that may not block the upstairs window from the view of the lake, like what Brad was talking about.
And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to maintain that roof line. We have to have an 8 on 12 according to the subdivision restrictions. And it's my understanding that we can have that tied into the current roof and not obscure the view from the window upstairs.
Well, even the 2 foot versus the 4'6", it's not going to. It's still going to block the window if it blocks the window.
Yeah.
If that's going to be dependent on the roof. That's not dependent on the variance.
Yeah,
That's
right.
true.
Right.
That's why I was asking.
Even if it was within the building line, it still could block the view of the window.
Well, I don't open public hearing anymore. Our chairman does. He took that job away from us.
Anybody got any other questions?
No, I have a question.
If you can give me a second, I'd like to open it to public comment period. If anybody has any comment about it, please come sign in up at the front, please, about this variant.
Yes, our power has been removed. I was going to make a motion to approve it. So-
Good evening. I'm the current owner of the lot. My name is James Midica, and my interest in this thing is I've been trying to sell this particular property for over a year, and I've had several offers on it and turned them down until Mr. Laverne made an offer that I felt was fair, and we accepted it. But the sale of the house right now on paper is contingent upon the approval of the board for a variance and the approval of the, at least a verbal approval from the Architectural Control Committee of the Homeowners Association. And it's my understanding that they've received a preliminary approval from the the Architectural Control Committee of the Homeowners Association. I have put a contract on another property in Pelican Point, and we intend to build on that property if this sale goes through. It'll be a downsizing, so we'll still be in the community. We'll still have still be paying taxes here and everything. If this contingency is removed, it will go a long way toward making all this happen. So Mr. Laverne will be able to buy my house. I'll be able to go through with the purchase of the lot and build our new house. So it would make my life a lot easier. I don't know if I could articulate an actual hardship, but it would make my life a lot easier. Thank you. Any questions?
No question. I have no questions.
Lance, you got a public comment?
Yes, sir. I just wanted to state that I did get an email from the resident that lives next door, which would be the one I guess that's in that picture that you see that lives in that home. Their names are Rachel and Brian Evans. And she states that my owner and I own the property next door to lot 268 in Pelican Point on Swan Circle. The proposed building addition will obstruct the gorgeous view that we currently have of the lake and golf course from our first floor front bedroom. Therefore, we would like to formally oppose the construction, and we hope that the board will decline approval. We are unable to attend the public hearing scheduled for January 26th, and wish for this letter to stand in our absence.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Any others? Oh, that's the only one. Okay. I'm going to close public hearing since there's no more to speak.
I'm going to move that we approve the 2 foot 3 inch variance, whether he built this pool house 2 foot 3 inches forward, it's still going to obstruct that front bedroom's view of the lake. We run into these situations constantly with these lakes that have a uneven shoreline. So I believe that the community that he's building in has lots of pools, lots of pool houses. So I move that we approve it.
I kind of agree with that. I don't see the difference of staying within the build line or the 2'3" variance. I think the neighbor's still going to be unhappy regardless. I can appreciate the fact that they offered to compromise by reducing the variance by half, so I'd like to second that motion.
All right, motion to approve the variance as written. Well, 2'3",
And 6 inches.
2'3" is that what we said?
2'3".
Our paperwork has 4'6", so I'm just trying to.
3 and 6
6 inches.
overhang
3
on
and
the
6.
right-hand side.
Okay.
So
The
that,
bottom line, if you do 2'3" and
What's the furthest?
Is 2'3"
2'3".
okay all the way
2'3",
across?
yeah,
Okay,
it is.
that's what I said that you could have, so, okay.
Okay, so approved for a variance of 2'3". Motion by Ms. Kathy Desideer, seconded by Mr. Tyler Gu. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those against? Any abstain? One abstained? Mr. Milton Coolite abstained. Okay. That is our last item on the agenda. Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Wait, we still have that power?
Well, yeah.
I didn't know if you took that
We
away.
can stay here all night if y'all want. Come on now. Motion by Mr. Ty, I got a second?
Yes.
Second by Steve McGowan. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion adjourned approved.